here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, December 17, 9:18. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures slightly in the green here. S&P up about 0.2%. NASDAQ up about 0.2%. And small caps all up about 0.2%. S&P is looking to put an end to its 3-session losing streak. The NASDAQ actually closed in the green yesterday. Apologies for the watch list this morning. I had actually spent more time on it than normal and hit the button to post it, and it was gone. So I had to rewrite it. So apologies for that. But sometimes it makes me look over things twice, right? Check things twice. But anyway, so take a look at the S&P. Was actually a little higher this morning. Then you had reports out from the Financial Times. I think it was the Financial Times. It's either the Information or the Financial Times, who have been coming out with these pieces on Oracle. And a couple months ago, it was the losing $100 million renting out their the Blackwell chips, right? And then what was the piece? Then there was another piece last month, and now this morning it's that Blue Owl's backing out of a some data center. Anyway, I don't know if it was 2 weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal had a nice little article on Blue Owl. They kind of like backstopping all these build outs of all these monster data centers in Texas and Tennessee and all that. But here it is this morning. You saw Oracle was all the way in the 190s, and I think I put it in the chat room yesterday afternoon. I think the 200s were like 70 cents. Stock was at 189, and I actually was looking good this morning. I'm like, oh, wow, maybe it looks good for a bounce. But that report came out, and futures tumbled a little bit, and Oracle dropped from 191 all the way down to 182. We'll see how that all plays out. But take a look at the market. It's been resilient. I was saying on the watch list in the rant yesterday, it's like all these possible negative catalysts to the market have been shaken off, and the market's been very resilient. I had 679 as a key spot on the SPY. I was going to get put hedges yesterday on the break below, and then even when we broke below, it was like the VIX was up, but not as much as you would think. And then the names I'd normally get put hedges on were flat or green. So instead of trying and play for downside, rather sit on my hands and wait for bounces. So we'll see how today plays out. SPY's up here at 680. Maybe some chop here today before the next leg to the upside into the weekend. Micron after the close could add a little bit to markets, especially if it's a rosy quarter. And then tomorrow we get CPI data. So I don't know. I put on the watch list like a low probability that there's a huge move based on the CPI data, but you never know. To me, I think it's even if it's hotter or cooler than expected, I don't think it's going to do too much for market direction. So watching today, 679 on SPY. I'm not saying I'm not open to getting puts again today. I'll be watching if I see some opportunities, but I think if I was looking for probabilities of direction, I think upside is probably the higher probability. But we'll see how that all plays out. All right, so that's the overall markets. Just quick on some individual names. First SolarEdge. I got those 3750s last week for some upside, and this is after playing it from its huge earnings move, right? I think it was in the 20s. I played those calls and went all the way up to $45, and then ever since the start of November, it's kind of been in I wouldn't call it a waterfall, but a downward slope, right? All the way under $30 to start the week, and then I'm looking at trying to play it for a bounce. And if you look at the chart, to me, I don't think there's much more downside. So the risk for downside is slim. And because of that, I think once it does start to bounce, it's going to be a huge move. So I got some more lottos yesterday. Sure enough, it tries to break into the 31s. Can't get over 30.70. Sells off into the noon hour and then just struggles for the rest of the day. Still close up 3%. The thing is Morgan Stanley, which upgraded. It's like they took the basket of stocks that are heavily shorted, the LMND, and Roku's not a heavily shorted name, but it's a name that there's still a lot of negative and bearish analysts on, and they upgraded those stocks. So they upgraded Roku yesterday, LMND yesterday, and SolarEdge. I thought that was going to be the kick SolarEdge needed to shake off the rut it's been in. Maybe today, some follow through today, and maybe today is the day that it shakes it off and starts to rally. So I put on the watch list. If it shows some relative strength today into the low 30s, I'm going to look for some more strikes there in SolarEdge. And then RH, right? And I tried to do the RH calls after its earnings on Friday, close those out once it failed to break over 173. And then yesterday morning, it starts to rally again. I'm looking for some decent risk-reward strikes to play for upside. Get those 190s. It jumps all the way to 174, locks them in to cover some of the costs for 60% or so. And then it sold off after the noon hour, still closing a green up 2%, but obviously off the highs of the day. I still like this one for upside. If it has continuation today, you make the case that it's just the start of its move to 200 and beyond. 200-day moving average is 197. The 50 days 186. I mean, excuse me, 166. So, if it continues, it has continuation today, I might look for some more strikes for that move over 200 bucks, because right now the premiums are inexpensive. Once it starts to move, that won't be the case. Uh, so that's RH. 1-800 Flowers. I put on to watch this TikTok. I think another huge day for call volume. I think it was 8,000 contracts yesterday, 7,000 the day before. And you go to go to Reddit and some of these other places where they talk about these meme stocks. Seems like 1-800 Flowers is like on the radar and has a huge short interest. I think just as from a valuation standpoint, it should be trading 6, 7, $8. You throw in that short interest, certainly ingredients for a huge move. I added more strikes yesterday. It gets over $5. I think it's off to the races. 200-day moving average is 503. That'd be a big spot. Hopefully it does that today. CGC is up here at $2. Hopefully my April strikes are 100%. They're getting close. Once I'm able to close some of those out, I might look for some more strikes. I talked about 199. That's a key spot. Want to see that hold at the open. And there's a report about Trump to sign executive order reclassifying marijuana. ABC report. So I guess that'll be out. I mean, it's not. We kind of know that's happening and coming. We just don't know when it's going to happen. So that could be the next catalyst. Lemonade's up here at $83 here in the pre-market. Kicking myself for missing strikes on that one. It's been tough, right? And I was talking about on Monday. Roku has been a hard one to hold because every time it looks like it's going to break out, it gives back all those gains and then some into the afternoon. Lemonade's the same. It was in the 80s last week, trades all the way down to 76. Then Tuesday in the high 70s. It actually overnight was traded down to $72. And then I started looking for strikes. And earlier last week, I was looking at the 95s, and obviously close to expiration now. Those 95s are a heck of a lot less expensive. But if it holds here at $83, at some point this is triple digits. So to me, I would want to go into next year's strikes, but the hundreds are like $2 for January's. So I don't know how I'm going to play it, but don't be surprised if I add some lemonade calls. And that's it. Oh, how do you pronounce it? Udemy. It's like a learning site. One of my top 5 stocks for 2023. They just announced a partnership to get taken private here this morning. Another one of my top 5 stocks, biting the dust. I don't know, that probably brings it up to 30% of the stocks on my top 5 stock webinars that I do every year is being acquired. So I'll have to redo that percentage. But that'll be coming out in the next 2 weeks or so. So anyway, let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.